It is such a joy today to have Michelle Lee here as our guest on the Power Transformation podcast. And I am just thrilled to have her. This is going to be such a fun conversation. Welcome, Michelle.
I am so excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. And I said prior to us even starting this, how you look absolutely beautiful. And I absolutely love all of your art in the background that you had told me were movie posters and things like that. So I love that. And so, with that being said, Michelle, we're going to dive right into this episode. And we always like to start with something fun and lighthearted before we get into the heart of the matter of what this show is about. And so, Michelle, this is the question for you. My question is, up to this date, what is your favorite movie?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. So, wow, there's so many good ones.
Okay. What's one of your favorite movies? We'll make it a little
So,
easier.
one of my favorite movies is John Wick. I actually love John Wick 1. I love a comeback movie, he had all these things happen and he came
Mhm.
back. I mean, things like that. But John Wick, the original John Wick, I do like that one a lot.
Okay, and just tell us briefly, what is it about it that you like? I know that you said a comeback. I'm familiar with it, but suppose somebody watching or listening hasn't seen it. What is it that makes it one of your favorites?
Everything came against the guy.
Mm.
Everything kept just getting thrown at him.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, they he lost his wife, they killed his dog. Like, it was just all of life happening. And so that's why I love the movie, because he just kept fighting. He just kept going forward. And really, life can be hard.
Mhm.
And I've been beat up and kicked around quite a bit. And
Mm.
so it all comes down to God has a plan. And it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you keep getting back up and fighting. And life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you.
Mm. I like that. And we'll put a pause there because I want to come back to those. I think you've said two powerful statements there that we definitely want to get back to. But that begs this question, Michelle, and if you could answer it in 2 minutes or less, who is Michelle Lee?
Wow. Well, I am a person on a mission.
Okay.
I want to change the world.
Mm.
I want to empower people and give them a voice. I never had one growing up. I never felt like I
Mm.
belonged. And I came to a place where that all changed. And I want to pay that forward and I want to bring the world together because it's very disconnected. And so I am, uh, well, let's see, I am a connector, an
Mhm.
empowerer, and a person who's going to change the world. How's that?
Wow. Wow. Person that's going to change the world. That's a huge, heavy lift, but I know that you can do it. And I think that because you've had those resilient stepping stones throughout your life, I think that has equipped you for a time such as this. And so, Michelle, I want to go a little deeper now, and I want us to dive deep in terms of taking us back, okay? Take us back to the young Michelle. So, what was young Michelle like? And what did you dream about? What did you dream about back then? And how did your early environment shape the woman, the extraordinary woman that you have actually become today?
Wow. So as a child, I mentioned I didn't have a voice.
Mm.
I lived in a home where I really did not fit in. I didn't feel like I belonged. And my dad was very controlling, and he's still here. We
Okay.
have a much better relationship now, but it wasn't the greatest environment that I grew up in. So I realized that I was actually under a lot of stress growing up as a child. So I
Mm,
was always afraid to, if I did speak up, I spoke up because other people needed me to, but I didn't speak up for myself. And I was always trying to find who I was.
mm, mm, mm. When you say that you didn't know who you were, what led to your discovery of who you are?
Oh, wow, that's a long journey. And well,
Okay, let me pivot in my question. What was one of the first moments that led you toward that journey of knowing who you are?
that's actually how I got into what I do.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because I've had failed marriages, failed friendships, I failed as a parent.
Mm,
I failed as a business owner. I failed as an employee. I was literally getting kicked down my entire life.
mm,
Understood why. I never understood why I had such struggles, why I attracted certain people, why I tried so hard to be a great parent and yet I blew it.
mm,
And when I was able to, that's why I do what I do. When I found um, Codebreaker and the bank code, and I unlocked who I was, that's what started this whole journey.
yeah. Hmm. And so let's let's take a brief pivot here. Briefly tell us then, and I want to come back to a little bit more of your origin story, but let's take a brief pivot here. And I appreciate, let me also say up front, Michelle, I appreciate how you answered the question, who is Michelle Lee? Because you didn't lead with what you do. You actually share who you are as a person. And I think that's so important, especially for even the work you do with bank and bank code. But tell us briefly, what do you do in terms of how do you make your living?
I coach and train and mentor, and I build a team of people who are out there on a mission to make people matter and make the world a better place.
How so?
Well, I've stumbled upon a person named Cheri Tree who created a methodology that was reverse engineered personality science. And it was originally created to increase sales. And that's actually why I got into it, because I was failing as a business owner and I wanted to increase my sales, right? But what I
Hmm.
found out was, as I mentioned before, God has a plan.
Hmm.
So I had no idea what I had signed up for. And what I realized is, one, I found out who I was and why I was the way I was. I found out that every human has an operating system and a way of communicating. And although we may all speak English, we really don't all speak the same language.
Hmm.
So what I realized is that I now could connect the dots for every relationship, every conversation, and every experience that I had in life, and why it was the way it was. Um, that was mind blowing to me. So I told you it originally was created for sales because Cheri struggled with sales and she created
Hmm.
it for herself. But what happened was people were coming back saying, this changed my relationship with my child, which it did for me. For 18 years, I did it wrong. Once I had my son's code, everything clicked, everything became easier. It saves people's relationships with their husband, their spouse,
Hmm.
their partner. It's about connecting and communicating and truly understanding people. If I would have known what I know now, my life would have been so different.
Wow. Wow. That speaks volumes. That speaks volumes to know that something this trailblazing and pivotal could really be a huge turning point in your life. And so let's go back a little bit even before you came across this, where you grew up, of course, and describe the household you were in. But tell us a little bit more about your background. Did you have brothers and sisters? Were you an only child? Tell us more about that family dynamic and how you were able to even um, continue navigating through life and challenges at a young age, even if you didn't really realize that's what was happening. What was that family dynamics like in your home?
So my brother is older than me by
Hmm.
like 18 months. He's
Oh, okay.
he's legally blind.
Mm.
So when he was born, they put oxygen on his face and burned the optical nerves in his eye.
Oh.
So he's been legally blind since he was born.
Mhm.
My mom has since passed, and she she is very high nurturing. She would do anything for anybody, just an amazing
Mm.
human being. And then my father, who is still alive, is he was always an entrepreneur, business owner, and without the experiences that I had, I wouldn't be the person that I am today.
Exactly. And you observed that from your father. But I'm curious, in your early career days, Michelle, what was your mindset like?
Oh, wow. So that was a struggle. When I
Mm.
started working, I was in sales. I fell into sales accidentally in many different positions. I ended
Mm.
up working with my father for a long period of time, also in sales and purchasing. Those companies went bankrupt. I hated sales. I hated it.
Really?
Gosh, I hated talking to people. Like I hated everything about it. Yeah. Um,
That's
it
unbelievable. Now, look, audience, the reason why I say really is because knowing who she is now, she is a master of relationship building, a master of sales, and to know she hated it. This is interesting. Tell us more.
Yeah, so I got thrown. I had one job. I literally had to cold call people and sell software.
Mm.
It was it was horrible. But anyway, so I was in this position. I did better than most,
Okay.
but I shouldn't say that. I did okay.
Okay. Okay.
And but I hated every minute of it. Um,
Mm.
it was awkward. I had to learn to navigate people. Looking back, there was different. So my mom, my brother, and my dad had very complete different personalities. So I learned to navigate in that household to kind of survive. Fast
Mhm.
forward into the sales process, same thing. Like I'm navigating to try to figure out how to have communication, have those conversations. But
Mhm.
I didn't like it at all. Oh no.
Wow. And you mentioned this method called bank, okay? You discovered bank, and then not only did your business explode, but something personal really started shifting and changing in you individually. And you did talk about how it helped to enhance the relationship between you and your oldest son. And so, what made you say, finally, what was that aha moment where you said, bank isn't just strategy, but this is purpose?
So right when I had started this program, before I went into like the actual training of it, um, my son had come home from college.
Okay.
I was so excited that he was home. I hadn't seen him for months. Keep in mind, we had struggled with our relationship for about 18 years.
Mm.
But I chalked it up to just, parenting, whatever. So he came home and I was so excited. We spent 2 days, 3 days together. We got into one of the biggest fights of our lives.
Oh.
He wanted to go back to school. He was going to pack up early and go back to school. He didn't even want to be around me. And to be honest, I love him with all my heart. And at that time, I didn't want to be around him either, because the
Mhm.
amount of tension and stress that had just blown up. And that was our lives for 18 years. So he had gone out. And when he came through the door, I literally had him crack his code, right? So we call it cracking the code, because I had started the training and I realized the first one that I learned about was the complete opposite of me, my last and his first. And then all the
Mhm.
way down the line, we just never lined up. We never spoke the same language. So everything was a challenge for us. We now have the best relationship ever. Like, we talk on the phone for hours at a time. He,
Wow.
it's mind blowing, the shift. I wished I could go back, because I lost 18 years with him. I can't even tell you how many years with my mom.
Mm.
Fortunately, I got to spend the last year with her in a place where we understood each other. Um, but that's priceless. And it's all about being able to truly understand each other. We don't have to be alike
Yeah.
to be able to love.
Mm. We don't have to be alike and able to love. That girl, that is a message, especially with everything going on in just not our country, but in the world now. That is so important when people have polarizing differences, but yet at the end of the day, what is the core and the root and the crux? And so bank helped to save your relationship and more, but that particular system helped you to rebuild just not your son and that bond, but then you decided to take it further in helping other people crack their codes as well. So, talking about this whole matter of love and judging less, what have been some of the benefits that you've seen from your own clients when it comes to this bank system? And there's so many programs out there, Michelle, so much that can help a person. What makes this different and sets it apart and above the rest? What's that eureka or that wow moment when it comes to bank?
So, bank is all about the other person. A lot of the other assessments tell you a great deal about yourself,
Hmm.
but this is based in values. So it's based in people's values. And if you look at the back of the card, it says, make people matter. It's all about being able to truly unlock the
Hmm.
operating system of the person across from you, so everyone's seen, heard, and understood.
Hmm.
The difference is it's simple, it's fast, and it's effective. It works 100% of the time. We even have kids' cards. So they have icons. We can crack codes of kids 3 and 4 years old. The game changer is it's easily implemented. Once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. So then you start to look at the world through different colored lenses.
Hmm. In term and you can elaborate more on that in terms of the world in different color lenses. Give us an example, just a general one, of a type of transformation you've seen in a client where they actually did that.
So with my clients, they're seeing results like increasing their sales, so their business
Hmm.
up to 400% in 30 days, right? But then they came back and said, but this saved my relationship with my husband. What you didn't know was we were on the verge of a divorce. This
Wow.
gave one of my clients came back and said, "Oh my God, my daughter and me and my daughter finally understand each other. We can communicate." Another person came back and said, "This saved my relationship with my brother. I finally understand what happened with my father." The
Hmm.
stories are endless. One of my clients, they were able to rekindle an old relationship. Like,
Oh.
the stories are endless, because when you unlock the code, you literally, it gives you everything you need to truly connect, to communicate, to understand, to relate, to see the
Hmm.
world through the other person's lens. I show up unpredictable, fast. I go fast, right? I'm action all day, every day. I was running over my son. He needed
Mm.
stability. He needed a plan. He needed a system. I was like, systems, schmistems, right? We don't need that. Like, we would go to the toy store. I would pick him up from school unexpectedly.
Yeah.
We would go to the toy store. I'd ride around on the little bike. I'd shoot hoops and I'd push all the buttons, causing chaos everywhere. His core values, his first in line is structure, stability, systems, planning, rules.
Mhm.
I blew every one of them by walking in the door. The second
Mm.
piece of him, he needs to make sense, logic. He
Yeah.
needs the research, the science. It needs he needs all the information. Well, I don't. I work on emotions. So even me
Mm.
hugging him when he was a toddler, he would cringe. He
Wow.
he comes from a place of the head, not the heart. So we function from two different areas. And when I would hug him, I would be like, "Why don't you love me? What did I do wrong as a mom?" And he would and he couldn't answer that question. He didn't feel loved and neither did I. So when my clients use these tools, magic happens because all of a sudden you can literally crack the code to understand and connect and see the world through that other person's eyes.
Mm. And how important is that? I mean, seeing the world through other people's eyes definitely shows the empathy, but it also shows the willingness to actually understand where a person is coming from. I know that at times it can be easier to either blame a person for something or to not want to even understand, but I just think of how powerfully incredible it would be if more people ended up doing that. And throughout your life, Michelle, it hasn't been a cakewalk. And I don't know the exact timeline of this, so if I'm going back prior to bank, it's okay, but you have really been prepared in a sense to even help others and give this to people as a way for them to open their communication, to build better bonds with people, because you've had your share of loss even in your life when it comes to bonds being broken due to circumstances outside of your control. So take us to when you had shared with me, um, take us to a moment in your life when you experienced a pain that could break somebody, but you helped to hold on to your faith. And that was when your children's father died. Okay, passed away. You can share if you want how. If not, that's okay too. But he died. Tell me how that affected you individually, but also the dynamics of that mother children bond. How did you help see your children through that? And I'm asking for a specific reason because of what bank does. Although you work with businesses, things like that, I think this can be helpful for just the everyday person who may be experiencing a loss and maybe they're seeing things differently than someone else in their family. This could work even for them to help reconcile or to grow stronger because death can bring a lot of anger, a lot of blame. So take us there. How did you process that loss and how were you there showing up and being of support to your children during that time?
So that was what my kids were, I want to say 4 and 6 at
They
the
were that little. Oh, wow.
end. So it was shortly after me and my and their dad had gotten divorced.
Mm.
And
Wow, Michelle.
if I would have known what I know now, I would have handled it much differently. But
Uh-huh.
part of me believes that I might have even been able to help him.
Mm.
So navigating that was difficult. He hadn't been in their lives for probably 8 months, a year, something like that. Um, and he wasn't able to see them because he had taken a path down uh, a difficult lane,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and I keep going back to God has a plan. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and when you look at that, the way, go ahead.
Real quick, did you know in that moment of your grief that God still had a plan?
No, No,
Ah.
no. But looking back,
Mhm.
the way that you can connect the dots, even him not being able to see the kids for a period of time, it made it easier for them to adapt to what had happened. Not that it was
Uh-huh.
easy for them,
Mhm.
but it could have been a lot more difficult. But because of what had transpired on his end, he wasn't able to see them.
Mhm. Okay. I
So,
understand.
yeah, so when you start to look at, like, in the moment you can't see it. In the moment it seems like everything's coming at you, and what I've learned is that no matter what's coming at you at the time, try to look at it from a different perspective, right? And death, people handle death differently. It can show up differently. God made us beautifully. We're all four codes. So we tap into them at different times, right? So even with grief, people can show up in a different way. And the reason I say that is because during grief, I handle it very differently than most.
Mhm.
Um, so it's very difficult for me to cry in those situations.
Mhm.
And people can look at that from all different perspectives, saying, I don't care, I'm cold, whatever. It's how people handle things. And maybe that's why we're having this conversation,
Mhm.
because it we talked about judging less and loving more. When people start to look at others and start to judge them, they're judging them because they aren't reacting the way that that other person should be,
Yeah.
right? The how the person judging it reacts to things. That doesn't make it wrong. It just is.
Mhm.
And it's because people have different ways of coping with things, different ways of communicating, different ways of showing up. Just because people don't react or show up the way that you expect them to, that's the first thing. Look at it
Mhm.
differently. You can still love that person. You can actually come at it with curiosity instead of
Mhm.
judgment.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, like a week ago, me and another person were talking about this because people had come at me. And because of the way I reacted to losing him
Mm.
and even losing my mom, it wasn't the way that someone else would react to it.
Mhm.
But like I said, people handle things differently
Mhm.
and they do things differently.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
And grief is one of those sensitive areas where, we all grieve differently, and how some people would think that you're not being uh genuine if you aren't crying. It doesn't mean that you don't hurt from it. That's just not how you process it.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
was reading Mel Robbins' new book called Let Them,
I've
right?
heard of that. Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
awesome, incredible book. Even if you take it one step further, let them, right? It's like letting go of that, what they're doing, but they're doing it because they're coming from a different operating system than you.
mhm.
That's all. It's like a Mac and a PC.
Mhm. Yes.
You can't put the
That's a
same
great
thing.
comparison.
Yeah, you can't put the same information in. You're not going to get the same result.
Yeah. Wow. And let's kind of connect this with, while you say God has a plan, you also say, and I want to get the quote right. You also say, where is it over here? Oh, things are happening for you, not necessarily to you. That is a game changer right there, Michelle. When did you actually start to believe that? When did that belief become absolutely real for you, in terms of things are happening for you, not to you? And that you knew without a shadow of a doubt that that was true deep in your bones. How did you come to that realization?
So I can probably tell you what year it was, right?
Really?
It wasn't,
Okay.
yeah. So it was several years ago, and it was my life had gone in complete chaos and turmoil, like
Mm.
on the verge. If it weren't for my kids, I would have taken a handful of pills. That's how
Uh-huh.
bad my life was. And I was just I actually got tattooed on my arm, God has a plan. And it was during this time because I kept saying to myself, this can't be this God has a plan. This is not what his plan is. The way my life was going, right? I was like, there's something else. So all of these things being thrown at me can't be being thrown at me
Mm-hmm.
for my life to go completely downhill. Like there's a bigger purpose for me. But I have to get through this to become the person that I need to become to do what God has me on this earth to do.
Wow. Wow. Mm. When we talk about that aspect of it, how does even having that belief system help you even navigate when you're even helping clients when it comes to bank?
Because
Because it's all connected, I think. I think it's all interconnected. Because,
absolutely.
yeah, I really do. I think it's connected because when you're dealing with this person, it's more than even like a personality assessment. It's deeper than that. But my whole point is I would think that when you're dealing with relationships with other people, some that might be difficult, you gotta actually come to that realization. I know I've had to have that thought recently where I haven't read the book Let Them, but I think even without it, because my dad was always like, the only person you can control is yourself, and whatever people do, that's what they're going to do. I mean, my dad was talking like that forever. I'm not opposed to reading the book. I probably will one day, but I got so many books that I'm reading. But even thinking about bank and about you saying that it's not happening necessarily to you, it's happening for you. How does that translate over into the work you're doing, even with your clients?
So when you're able to give your clients hope
Mm.
and give them a different perspective to look at things through,
Hmm.
whether they're having a difficult situation with a business partner, a client, a spouse, a child, or just in life in general, that's magic. And when you can look at things as instead of looking at like, oh, this poor person, like all these things are happening. Okay, what can we look at as to what do I need to learn from this?
Hmm.
Everything I go into is okay, this happened. This is terrible, right? What am I supposed to do with this? And there's times I'll say, like, oh Lord, please tell me what I'm
Yeah.
supposed to do with this, as I need to know what's going on. But when you can go into it thinking like, okay, what can I learn from this? What is God trying to tell me?
Hmm.
It changes the dynamics of being the victim of, oh, all these things are happening to me, like I'm done, I can't do anymore, right? Into, okay, there's something he's trying to tell me. What is it? And we might not figure it out for a long time until we can go back and connect the dots. Like my whole
Hmm.
life I was like, oh, like I was the victim in my own mind.
Wow.
Okay, so everything that happened, it was like, why I didn't ask to be here, why are all these things happening to me? So all of those things brought me to where I am. If I wouldn't have had the experiences that I've had,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be where I am. And it gives you the ability to learn and grow and find that mission and purpose. If all those things wouldn't have happened, I would have never found my purpose. I would have been wandering around,
Mhm.
still, doing things I hated, living a
Mhm.
life that wasn't fulfilling. Just-
And and I think it's interesting that you said you would be living a life that wasn't fulfilling because you still had a reasonable amount of success, Michelle, even before bank. And so when you started with bank, and I want to transition here too. We have been using this acronym BANK, B-A-N-K, for a while. Now I've taken it um because of an entrepreneurial group that both of us are a part of. When I joined it, that was one of the code breakers that we did. And I found it to be very eye-opening and introspective and things of that. Now, I haven't gotten certified in it and I haven't gone deep, but I know several people who actually have. So when you think about bank, B-A-N-K, for our audience watching and those listening, just tell us briefly what that acronym stands for.
So the acronym is it's reverse engineered personality science, and it stands for the four personality types. Blueprint, they're colder to approach, inside the box. Think of them inside the box. They need things like structure, stability, systems, planning. They follow the rules. They don't like change. They're very organized. They're the type of person who
Mhm.
shows up 20 minutes early for a meeting. If you're on time, you're late.
Got you.
All right. Then we have the action. Little firecrackers in your hands. They're the movers, the shakers, the millionaire makers. Firecrackers
Uh-huh.
in your hands, right? They want
That's
fun,
right.
freedom, and flexibility, spontaneity, action. They talk fast, they drive fast, they act fast, they make decisions on a dime. It's like
Uh-huh.
two polar opposite codes right here. And then you have the nurturing. They recycled the box. They put a little pie, baked it, put it inside, and wrapped it up, put a little bow on top, and they gave it away. And then they used the box and used it to recycle things to give to the nonprofits, right? They want
Mhm.
relationships, teamwork, authenticity, personal growth. They truly want to make the world a better place. They're all about the love. And then the knowledge. They're like, listen, without me, you wouldn't have a box. I engineered your box.
That's a
Science,
great way of putting it.
data, research, logic, it has to make sense. They're going to ask a ton of questions and they need all the information. When you look at all four, God made us beautifully with all
Mhm.
four codes. So we're able to tap into the things we need when they need them. They might not be our strength, they might be things we stay away from or how we act under stress, right? But we're able to tap into them. So there's actually 24 different combinations that these codes
Mhm.
can show up in. And because there's a happy place where we sit, right? That's our main dominant code. But because we're made up of all four, we can dance in the codes.
Mhm.
So when you talked about grief in under different sorts of situations, people will shift into a different code where they need to be treated and met
Mhm.
where they are.
Mhm. I was sitting here as you ended that, and I listened to everything, but when you said all of the different combinations, one thing I can say to you, and maybe no, I would say this is a credit to the founder that I've never met yet, but I know you, is out of everything I've ever taken, um, this is one of the only ones where I still remember just off of the top of my head my code. And I've done a lot of, yeah, like I've done a lot. So mine is NKAB. And that is not shocking to me, but I like how you say that there's so many different combinations, and on when we need a certain one, we can do it. Because when I have to take action, I'll take action, but I am more of that nurturing type first. And it's not being a people pleaser either. I've never been a people pleaser. It's just that I'm big on relationship building. And it's interesting, Michelle, because something happened just today. I'm not kidding, where I got friend requested by a couple of people who I'm sure are wonderful people. I'm sure they are. And I'm not going to say anything badly about them. But my approach is, if a person friends you, or even if you leave a message, it's just a hi, I'm so and so. I like what I saw on your page, or blah blah blah. I just like us to get to know each other more. What happened on two separate ones? One was on one social media platform, the other was on the other. And we have mutual friends on both, but they just automatically, hi, so and so, I can do this for you. I da 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 da. I can do blah blah. And to say you can get more reach, you can do better. Oh my gosh, Michelle, it was so cringe to me. It was
Yep.
so off-putting to me. And I've responded to them via voice note very respectfully, in that nurturing way. And it wasn't to make them feel little or small, but hearing you say this now, I'm like, oh, I never thought about it. And I'm not saying cold emails are completely bad. I know that sometimes we have to do cold in sales, but now in 2025, especially post pandemic, people want relationships and want quality over the quantity. And I think bank really got me to see the importance of understanding. And I would have felt better if I knew these two people's styles, but I literally don't know them. And to tell me what I need, how I need, I'm like, you don't know me, you don't know who's on my team. And I'm coachable and I'm teachable, but that bothers me.
Well,
So
because they,
hearing it,
yeah,
I'm like, everything you're saying makes total sense.
correct. Because the nurturing, you're all about relationships. The
Yeah.
other three codes come at conversations completely different. And when you look at someone's code, all four positions matter. Okay. Every code can take action depending on what the combination is. Every code can take action. So you just have to check the boxes to take action, right? So you got to build that relationship. Do you like the
Mhm.
person? Are they kind? Do you have all the information? Have you done your research?
Mm,
Don't want to make a mistake, right? Don't want to be
no.
wrong. So I got to check the facts. Checkbox, checkbox. This makes sense. I can now take action.
Mhm.
Right? So if you think of it like a cryptex, if you enter the right code and you check the boxes off in the correct way, you're going to get the output that you want. You're going to
Mhm.
get the yes, or you're going to get the connection or the relationship where you're like, oh, this is easy. This is like the easy button, right?
That's right.
But if you put in the wrong combination, all of a sudden it's like, break open the vial of vinegar.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was very off-putting, and I didn't realize how much it would bother me until today.
So I
Looking at the platforms, I was like, wow. And it begs this question to me too, because this show, as you know, is all about the personal transformations, things like that. And we have listeners, not everybody is an entrepreneur. So you sharing about how this really helped you and your son's relationship. What would you say to a person listening or watching who's like, this sounds good, but Michelle and Alethea are both entrepreneurs. I'm just a quote unquote regular person. We're no different because we're regular too. But what about the person who might say, this sounds really good, but I don't know if it could help me in my life? What would you say to them?
I would say crack your code. It's absolutely free. The first step is self awareness. And then start to think about the people in your life. So, one of the stories that one of the colleagues tells is about uh, she went and she spoke in front of this, she was in this event. She spoke,
Mhm.
and that it was parents and kids. And so she did a little experiment, a little activity, and she separated them. She had A, B, and K, and she had little signs. And she said, okay, go to the one that you think your first code is. And this mom runs over to the action, right?
Hmm.
And her daughter comes with her, and her son goes to the knowledge. And she says, you're not a K. Come over here.
Oh.
Ah, right. So my friend comes over and she says, oh, mom, just for this activity, could he just stay over there in that one? And just at that moment, you saw the look on her face. And it was kind of like the look on my face when I found out I was parenting the child I thought I had and not the child I actually had.
Oh. Mm.
So, what I would say to them is that we can all do better. I thought I knew my kids inside and out, and I spent every minute I could with them. I knew everything about them, but yet I missed it
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't understand their operating system because it wasn't mine.
Mm. This would have been very helpful when I was doing my full-time 9 to 5 as a public school educator, and how I led so many teams and adults, and just working with people on the school level in HR. We do assessments like the I can't think of it, but like the INJ, the I can't think of the name, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
We did things like those, but I'm sitting here like it would have been a game changer to understand the adults that I'm collaborating with, leading, working towards, because doesn't matter the actual industry. It's about human behavior and what humans do. And your transformation, you touched on it a little bit, and we won't go in depth out of course, respect for your father, but how has this even helped to improve the relationship and the bond that you have with your dad?
Because it's not personal, it's personality.
Mm-hmm.
It's not personal, it's personality. So I understand now we all listen through our bank code.
Yeah.
So how many times have you heard something and you're like, right? And then you're arguing with people like, yeah. And then at the end of the day, you're like, that's what I said. Okay. So you wasted all that time. So what I learned is I understand how to communicate with him. We were clashing. So his code is actually B.A.K.N.
Oh,
Blueprint
those right
action,
in order.
right? Okay, so he's
AK. Mhm.
yeah, so his nurturing's last, and because his blueprint is first, do you see it's my last code.
Uh-huh.
So
I'm
he
so glad.
had rules.
Yeah.
Action was is second, so his rules he could change at any time because they were his rules. And I always broke the rules. So I was always in trouble. And I always fought him with every ounce of me. Now,
Mhm.
also he's very controlling.
Okay.
So what I learned is again, also why my mom and brother showed up the way they do, because they're both very high nurturing. My mom actually, her code is NK, her code was NKBA.
Oh.
Okay. And she did everything for my dad. She wanted to avoid conflict altogether. Um, and my brother also high nurturing. But it gave me a different perspective of what our childhood looked like. I can remember as a child saying to my mom, like, all you like all you never stand up for yourself.
Mm.
Well, action was last, blueprint was third. So when she's nurturing, she's giving everybody everything. It's got to make
Mm.
sense. Second position. Our third position was, oh, this is risky. Blueprints hate risk. I'm just gonna tradition is we stay married forever, like all the things. So everything came into perspective where I could literally understand why things happened the way they did, how how I could communicate with my dad
Mhm.
to not fight, talk him down off the ledge when he started on a rampage, and listen to relate. So now I can come at him in a different way where I'm taking it off. It's not about me. It's about how he communicates. It's not personal.
Mm. This is incredible. It really is. And I see that with all of the challenges and the adversity that you've overcome in life, Michelle, this is definitely something that's a game changer for people and can really help them catapult to that next level in their life that they're desiring, whether it's personal or professional. And this is truly a way they can tap within the power within themselves to make the transformation that they need. And with that being said, you said that at its most basic level, just to get your overall code, it's free. And I'll have it in show notes, but how can a person go about accessing this to say, okay, I'm game, I'll try it for myself? How can they go about doing that?
So they can crack their code and they'll get a free report all about themselves. And
Mhm.
then they can reach out to me.
Okay, and how can they reach out to you?
So they can find me on social media,
Mhm.
Michelle Lee Murder, Myrter, or
Mhm.
I can give you and I can drop my contact info for you to
Yeah,
post in the comments.
yes. And I have all that, but I just didn't know if there was somewhere else you wanted them to go. As we bring this to a close, Michelle, you have definitely lived a tremendously influential life. We didn't even touch into y'all. When I say this is a powerhouse entrepreneur, I respect her well. We know a lot of the same people. We're a part of a particular organization and everything. But when I say I didn't even touch on the revenue she's made over the years because she walks with such humility because her heart is in the right place. And although A is her leading one, action, just the way she approaches action and get to know people is still from a place of authenticity. So, as I come to a close here, my closing question, Michelle, is how do you continually stay in this space of compassion over criticism, meaning criticism that you don't have about yourself? We all have thoughts in our head about, oh, maybe I could have done something differently. But how are you kind to yourself and how do you show up with compassion so that you can keep transforming the lives of others through this system?
That is a great question. And my answer is going to be because of God.
Mm.
And the reason is because this mission is bigger than me.
Yeah.
He put this in my heart and I'm
Mhm.
serving my purpose. My
Yes.
purpose is to serve others in this world. And so I don't like when I speak from the heart. He gives me the words. I ask him for the words before I do anything. And whatever he gives me is what I speak. And so I've learned to let it go. I I've been in that place where I was like overthinking everything and being that place where, oh my gosh, what if I didn't do that right, or I really messed
Hmm.
that up, or whatever. It is what it is. Everything happens for a reason. Like God's got a plan, right?
Sure does. Yeah, sure does. And part of that plan was for us to connect and meet. I have such respect for you. We are productive movers and shakers. I definitely want to go even more in depth with bank in time, but you know how my schedule is just like yours. But I want to publicly thank you for just how you have been a light in my life in the time that I have known you. You're doing incredible work. Keep it up. And I encourage you all, listeners and viewers, connect with Michelle. This bank system is major. And I would even encourage you and Cheri, and we can talk offline. If y'all aren't in school systems and districts and all that kind of stuff, get into those aspects too, because this work is needed in all industries, just not business, and it's needed in personal life. So thank you. It's been an honor, Michelle, having you here on the Power Transformation Podcast.
It's been an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Power Transformation Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow or subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. It helps us inspire even more listeners. And don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who could use a little power in their transformation. Until next time, keep bouncing back, keep rising, and be good to yourself and to others.